Where the hell is Hit and Run? This was one of the most successful Simpsons games ever made. It sold millions of copies, people loved it, the developers wanted to make another one, and then nothing. No sequel, no remaster, not even a basic modern port. The Simpsons continued for another 23 years, we got hundreds more episodes, another movie announcement, mobile games, Fortnite collaborations, but apparently putting Hit and Run on modern consoles was where civilization reached its technological limit. Until August 2026, during a Simpsons panel at D23, Matt Groening was asked the inevitable question about Hit and Run, and his response was rather interesting. He said he believed the original game was coming back in some form. Current Simpsons showrunner Matt Selman immediately said, or not, which is either somebody correcting an elderly cartoonist who accidentally announced something that shouldn't exist, or somebody desperately trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube. Right now, nothing has officially been announced, no remake, no remaster, no platforms, but the fact that one vague sentence about a game from 2023 immediately generated headlines tells you everything you need to know, because somehow, 23 years later, people still really want the Simpsons Hit and Run back, and the stranger question is, why did it ever disappear? Licensed games in the early 2000s didn't exactly inspire confidence. For every genuinely good adaptation, there was about 12 games seemingly developed because somebody had 6 months left on a licensing agreement. The Simpsons knew this better than most. There had already been plenty of Simpsons games by 2003, ranging from decent to the sort of thing you'd receive for Christmas and spend Boxing Day trying to convince yourself you liked it. Then Radical Entertainment made Hit and Run, and instead of simply making another collection of Simpsons themed levels, they gave players Springfield. You could drive around it, explore it, smash through things, find references from the show, collect vehicles, and generally behave like an absolute menace while pretending you were completing objectives. The Grand Theft Auto influence was obvious, but crucially, Hit and Run didn't just feel like GTA with Homer Simpson pasted over the top. Springfield was the attraction, the quickie mark, the Simpsons house, the nuclear power plant, the school. Characters, jokes and references were everywhere, with the show's actual cast providing the voices. It felt less like playing a licensed Simpsons product and more like being allowed to wander around inside the program. And it worked. Hit and Run reportedly sold more than 3 million copies. For a licensed game in 2003, that should have been the beginning of something, and apparently it was.
Steady, Marjorie, steady.
This is where the story gets weird, because Hit and Run wasn't one of those games that became beloved years after initially failing. It was successful, the developers knew it was successful, and work had already begun on what came next. Radical Entertainment had ideas for a sequel. They were experimenting with new mechanics, including towing vehicles and even aircraft. They had the technology, they had the audience, they had the original game's momentum, and most importantly, they had one of the biggest entertainment properties on Earth attached to it. So obviously, they never made it. Former developers have spoken about this since, and the remarkable part is that even some of the people who actually worked on Hit and Run don't seem entirely sure why the sequel was allowed to disappear. The publishing arrangement changed, the license wasn't continued, and Hit and Run simply became a one-off, which is quite an achievement when you think about it. 3 million copies, a sequel already being explored, a gigantic license, an audience asking for more. Naturally, the obvious business decision was to stop immediately, and that decision looks even stranger in hindsight because Hit and Run didn't fade away. If anything, its reputation became stronger.
Hey, I know you. You're in my dumb guy support group. Mind if I borrow your truck for a while?
No can do, Mr. Fancy Blue Pants. I begotten to finish up my daily chores, or else Brandine ain't making her muskrat pie tonight.
There are plenty of games from 2003 that people remember fondly. Hit and Run is different. People have spent more than 2 decades asking somebody to sell to them again. That's quite an unusual problem for a publisher to have. The game never received a proper modern release. It isn't sitting conveniently on current PlayStation and Xbox storefronts. There's no official PC remaster with modern resolution support and controller options. For most people, playing hit and run legally still means owning the original hardware and an old copy, and because of that, the community effectively started preserving it themselves. PC players kept the game alive, mods expanded it, fans experimented with improving the visuals, and every few years, somebody creates something impressive enough that the internet collectively remembers, oh yeah, why haven't they remastered Hit and Run? There was even that incredible fan remake project that rebuilt the game purely as a technical exercise. Not for sale, not released publicly, just somebody effectively demonstrating that the appetite for this thing still exists. And I think part of Hit and Run's longevity comes from something very simple: nobody really replaced it. We've got countless Simpsons games, but we've never had another game that gives you Springfield in quite the same way. So Hit and Run gradually stopped being merely an old Simpsons game. It became the Simpsons game.
I just had that pang then.
Which brings us to now, because suddenly people actually involved with The Simpsons are talking about Hit and Run again. Earlier this year, Matt Selman acknowledged the countless demand for the game, and then at D23, Matt Groening went one step further. The original is coming back in some form, or not. Very helpful. To be clear, that is not confirmation of a Hit and Run remake. It's not confirmation of a remaster either. Until something is officially announced, we shouldn't pretend otherwise. But the wording is interesting because Groening didn't say, "I'd like to see it come back." He apparently said he thinks it's coming back in some form. That could mean almost anything: a straightforward re-release, a remaster, some sort of collection, potentially something much more ambitious, or Matt Groening could simply have wires crossed and we're all analysing one sentence from a convention panel like it's the Zapruder film. That's entirely possible too, but if Hit and Run really is returning, there's another question worth asking: what should they actually do with it?
Barney, can I borrow the Plow King?
Take what you want, sexy leprechaun. Just don't shoot me with that dart gun. Oh.
Whatever.
Because I don't think Hit and Run needs reinventing. In fact, that's probably the easiest way to ruin this. You can already imagine the pitch. Springfield is now 400 square kilometres. There are 12 different currencies. Homer has a skill tree. Bart's skateboard requires crafting materials. And buying the premium Duff Beer Battle Pass unlocks Ned Flanders without his jumper. Please don't. Hit and Run worked because it was relatively simple. Compact areas, recognisable locations, arcade driving, collectibles, jokes, cause enormous amount of property damage. Move on. A modern version doesn't necessarily need to transform that into something bigger. Give us proper widescreen support, higher resolutions, a stable frame rate, modern controller support, clean up some textures, improve a few awkward missing checkpoints, maybe restore or polish some things that couldn't be done properly in 2003, then leave it alone. There's also an argument for a full remake, obviously. Springfield could look incredible with modern hardware, but if that happens, I'd hope the goal would still be preserving what Hit and Run actually was, rather than using the name as an excuse to build something completely different, because after 23 years, preservation itself is part of the appeal. People aren't asking for a new game that vaguely resembles Hit and Run, they're asking for Hit and Run.
Dad, the zombies are on the way. Shouldn't we do something?
Not now, Lisa. I'm trying to listen to the baseball game.
It's the top of the seventh, and oh God, zombies! They're devouring the crowd. Now they're eating my brain. Oh, the pain! Ah!
Oh, all right. I'll get us some survival supplies. Stupid Brockman getting eaten by zombies.
And maybe that's the most interesting thing about this entire story. Hit and Run wasn't supposed to become some lost game and artifact. It was a successful licensed game based on one of the most mainstream television programs ever made. There should be nothing rare or mysterious about it, yet an entire generation grew up with this game, and the industry somehow spent the next 23 years making it increasingly difficult to buy them. That's why Matt Groening saying a few words at D23 matters. Not because a remake is definitely happening, we don't know that. It matters because people never really stop waiting. Hit and Run survived changing consoles, changing publishers, changing generations, and almost a quarter of a century without a proper successor. The audience is there, The Simpsons are still here, the game is still beloved, so if somebody has finally managed to untangle whatever has kept Hit and Run buried since 2003, don't overthink it, don't reinvent it, don't give Homer a battle pass, just let us drive around Springfield again. After 23 years, I think we've waited long enough. If you've enjoyed this, let me know in the comments whether you'd actually want a Hit and Run remake or if you'd rather they simply remaster the original and leave it alone. And if you're new here, subscribe to Parasign. I'm covering gaming history, retrospectives and strange stories like this one, including the recent Metal Gear Solid 4 video, looking at how that game spent 18 years trapped on the PlayStation 3. And if movies and television are more your thing, I've also launched Parascreen, my sister channel dedicated to long-form movie and TV retrospectives. You'll find the link below. And finally, a special thank you to the channel members for continuing to support Parasign. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Ralph, word in the hood is that you got access to your old man's fireworks stash.
Fireworks make my ears yell.
Here's some gumdrops. Now make with the works.
My daddy's going to put you in jail.